Need more sunshine.
Yeah, it's a little gray out there.
Sunshine or snow.
Wow. Okay, welcome. This is December 8th. And I hope that some of you were able to check out that video I posted under updates regarding December 7th yesterday when on December 8th, 79 years ago, when FDR gave his famous speech on a day which will live in infamy, December 7th, 1941. Pretty significant speech, and in most things distance learning, we're just not going to be able to talk about everything when it comes to World War II. So since that is a topical thing going on right now with today's date, I would say take a look at that video just for funsies. I'm not really having to do anything specifically with it. But what are we doing today? This should be a relatively shorter class in that I'm going to give you ample time to get going on a little video today. So we're going to start out playing a little Quizlet Live to review those terms. There's about 50 some odd terms on that sheet, and we're going to have about 25 of those on the quiz on Thursday. So make sure that you are taking a look at that. Next, what is a revolution? We're going to talk a little bit about just the definition of a revolution. What does that mean? What is a state as it's defined back then and now? And then we are going to introduce a video that you are going to work on for the duration of the period here, and make sure that you are paying attention to your due dates on the updates. On the right-hand side, it's Schoology. It should also be on your calendar. So anything I missed there, Mr. Winters?
No, you're good.
Well, I know I'm good, but did I miss anything?
Nope.
Come on, that's funny. All right, here we go. Let's all go to Quizlet.live. Let's go to Quizlet.live.
I'm preparing the music.
You're preparing it?
Or do you have some? You're not going to
No, I want you to be the DJ today. I want to hear some good. Well, keep it appropriate, please.
Once you get it going.
Let's go to Quizlet.live, and here is your code, my dudes.
Been flying solo for so long.
Nobody singing the harmony. Yeah, pipe. No guitar.
I'm turning my volume down. It's hideous. What is it?
I told you wouldn't like. It's One Man Band by Old Dominion. Sophomore football last year, we played it every day we could.
Great story. Felt like I was there.
It's about being a team player, not a one-man band.
Was this your idea or Gringsy's?
I don't know. It turned in because Grings came singing it, so then the kids would play it every day.
It's adorable. All right, we got 22 on the list here, and we have, we're missing just a couple then. I'll give you 30 more seconds to get in, and then we're going to play this thing. We're going to play 3 rounds.
Girl, I want to be famous with you.
All right, here we go. Let's see what your spirit animals are today. Wowee. And here we go. And they're racing.
Chairs are all stacked and there's no one around. Nobody's paid. They'll still be playing.
I got a history song for the next one.
Is that right?
By Gordon Lightfoot. Bet you that'll give it away. Do you know what it is?
I don't know if I want to assume anything.
You ever been in Duluth? Actually, it wasn't in Duluth, but no, sure. Huh? Erica's wondering what I'm doing during this meeting.
You say your team teacher is as well?
Uh-oh, winner.
Wow. We got a winner. Round one goes to the Oxen. Here we go. Same groups, and they're racing.
The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. You've never heard this? Huh?
Yeah, let's hear it.
It's not playing. I don't know why. Come on. Well, maybe it's not going to work.
Oh, side note, Mr. Winters, I'm meeting with all those CCR kids today at 11:30.
What about it?
Today's a CCR day.
Yeah, I know.
The lake, it is said, never gives up her dead when November turned gloomy.
You don't know
Nice
this
song. Of course I do. Nice song selection, dweeb.
Oh, it's a good tune.
That good ship and crew was a bone to be chewed when the gales of November came.
Jeez, Morgan's not going to let anybody else play here. All right, here we go. This is it. This is the last one. This one's for all the Tostitos. And they're racing.
With a crew and good captain well seasoned, concluding some turns with a couple of steel firms when they left fully loaded for Cleveland. Then later that night when the ships fell ring, could it be the north wind they'd been feeling? The wind in the wires made a tattletale sound, and the wave broke over the railing. And every man knew, as the captain did too, 'twas the witch of November come stealing. The dawn came late and the breakfast had to wait when the gales of November came slashing. When afternoon came, it was freezing rain in the face of a hurricane west wind.
This one's taking longer.
Well, that's good. The more mistakes we make today, the less we'll make on Thursday.
When supper time came, the old cook came on deck saying, "Fellas, it's too rough to feed you." At 7 p.m. a main hatchway caved in. He said, "Fellas, it's been good to know ya." The captain wired in, he had water coming in, and the good ship and
Wowie. Just didn't want to let anybody else play. Okay. Here we go. So we're going to play Quizlet Live. Next, we're going to have a small discussion about what is a revolution, and was the revolution, the American Revolution, in a world history sense, truly that revolutionary? And what is a state, before we get into the video that you're going to be watching today. So I apologize to those of you that I had in U.S. History A. I'm sure that this is going to be a little repetitive for you, but that's okay. It should just kind of rehash some of the things that that you're going to need to know going into today's video. So A revolution, what the heck is that word? It's kind of a figurative word when we use it in this historical sense. When we say what is a revolution, and I'm sure that a lot of you knew, without really thinking about it, that a revolution is a dramatic shift in thinking, particularly for a government. When we're going to switch the way in which a government is governing. So was the American Revolution truly that revolutionary? Or was it more about the principles that were kind of underlying? I would assert that it was more about those principles as to why the revolution happened in the first place, or why the rebellion happened in the first place. In a historical sense, where does the word revolution even come from? Because you guys all know what it means to not figuratively revolve, but you know what it means to literally revolve. That's where one is spinning and going around. That's what it literally means to revolve. And that word kind of came about because if you go back way long ago, for the longest time, people were certain that the Earth was the center of the universe. It was the geocentric theory. And that got flipped on its head when people discovered that rather, the sun is the center of the universe, the heliocentric theory. And included with that was the notion that, well, if the Earth isn't the center of the universe, that means we're revolving. That means we're spinning around the sun as we go around. And that shift in thinking, or that revolution, is going to lead them to believe that any dramatic shift in thinking from there on out is going to be labeled as a revolution. Now, even in a revolutionary sense, for what other revolutions were going on in the world, I would assert the American Revolution was not that revolutionary. If you compare it to the French Revolution, in which there was the reign of terror and thousands of people were sent to the guillotine, and they completely switched the way in which they were governing, where the third estate now didn't have any access to power in government, had to serve in the army, had to pay all the taxes. And the first and second estate, which was just 3% of the population, got to make all the say in government and didn't have to pay any of the taxes and didn't have to serve in the army at all. That gets completely flipped on its head when thousands of people are sent to the guillotine. The king and queen are put into the guillotine, and they flip it to a governmental structure where more power is given to those people. So although we're not going to consider the American Revolution that revolutionary in that we didn't have, that much, that type of scope of death, and I would argue that the government system didn't change all that much, from the British limited monarchy to what became the United States government in the late 1700s. There, as you studied in U.S. History A. The underlying principle was kind of revolutionary for the time. And that's what I'm talking about, is the notion that is mentioned in the Declaration of Independence about people not being born into a certain station in life. We talked a little bit in U.S. History A about deference and the notion that if you were born of noble status, that people needed to recognize your noble status. And that's where you see people do that silly bow thing, taking their hat off and recognizing somebody who is of a more noble status. Okay. So I want you to think about that, because that was kind of the fad of the time, was this notion of equality. Next, what is a state? We kind of have a jaded definition of what state means in this country, because we think of state as being a part of a country, because that's how we kind of learned about it in geography class in middle school. Like, a state is a part and a country is the bigger entity. Well, if you were to ask a student from any other country in the world, they would say, no, state and country are synonymous, and that would be correct. Well, why do we think of states as that way? Because that's the way in which they were created. Okay, about in the time of the American Revolution, a Virginian considered his country to be Virginia. He considered the state of Virginia to be an independent entity once they gained independence. So that kind of shows you how different all of these states were from each other, thinking that they were going to be just that, just independent from one another. Okay, so I want you to think about that as these states come together, or these colonies come together, to try to decide how they're going to rebel against Great Britain. Okay, so that's that. next, here's what I want you to do, folks. I want you to go right to Schoology right now, and I'm going to show you what we're going to be looking at here. So let's take a look at what Schoology looks like to you. Just use Joel as an example here. All right. So here's your upcoming dates on Schoology and stuff that you should be paying attention to, okay? This video that I'm assigning today is going to be due at the end of the week, so make sure that you get that done before Thursday. You've got your term quiz coming up later in the week as well. Under this Revolutionary War folder here, you'll see Blows Must Decide. Now, this YouTube link should work as long as you are logged into your school Google account, okay? Furthermore, you do not have to watch the entire video, but you do need to take note because on the document itself, I made some notes about what parts you can skip. Okay, so when I say ID, that means identify, tell me the significance of the coercive acts. Let's see, so right down here, see this yellow part. So on the video, on YouTube, you can go ahead and skip 2130 to 2707, okay? Kind of have you skip around here so you're not watching the whole 50 minutes of it, but this should follow that video right in order, okay? You'll see that video link here. I also have it back in the folder next to that Dropbox. Is there anything that I didn't explain very well there, Mr. Winters?
So we just have to do the Blows Must Decide with the video, and that's what's due, other than our vocab words.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
So here's what I want you to do, folks, okay? I want you to remain on the video here until you get the video to work. So once you get your video working and everything is good to go for you, you can log off and be done for the day, okay? So as I see people drop off, my assumption is you were able to get the video to work and you're good to go. I'll stick around if people have any questions otherwise, okay?